everyone, welcome back. Today's video is going to be on my monthly favorites, and I have to admit this was a little bit difficult at first because when I was going through my makeup collection, I realized that there wasn't anything that was brand new that was really standing out to me that I wanted to talk about in my favorites. Most of these products are ones that I've been using so regularly, but I didn't even think of them as favorites because I've had them for so long. So therefore they kind of lose a little bit of their sparkle and shine because, I don't know, sometimes talking about old products, people just don't care. But I love these so much, and I'm glad that they've been in heavier rotation in my makeup collection lately. I'm gonna kick this off by talking about my foundation that has pretty much dominated my face in the last month, and that is the Revlon Colorstay Liquid Foundation. This is in the shade 200 Nude, and it is the normal to dry formula. I do wear the combination oily one every now and then. I flip back and forth between the two. Honestly, I don't notice a huge difference, although I will say that the 200 Nude, I mean, this goes for all the shades, but like, for example, 200 Nude in normal and dry is not the same shade in the combination oily version, which is really weird. So just something to be aware of. So Revlon's Colorstay. This was the very first foundation that I have ever purchased. I bought it roughly for the first time 8 to 10 years ago because so many people on YouTube were talking about it. I wasn't really into foundation back then, and I'm still not really into foundation. I do wear it occasionally because I like that kind of like blank slate canvas type look, but I also don't always want to look perfect either. So I, pick and choose when I'm gonna wear foundation. But this one is one that I've used at least 5 bottles of throughout the years. It's just so consistent in its formula that I have been so happy with it ever since I picked it up. Initially 8 years ago. I will say, however, it has gone through several different foundation formulas throughout the years. When I first picked it up, it had an SPF of 6 and it had a super matte, full coverage look to it. I don't feel like that's necessarily the same thing now. This is SPF 20, and I don't feel like it's completely full coverage. It is more full coverage than most foundations, but I do see some of my own skin shining through at times, especially my freckles, which is really nice because I don't really need a full coverage foundation, so I don't always want that type of like cake face, so to speak. Anyway, I have loved this so much over the years, and I'm so glad that I've kind of come back to it again. This is the shade 200 Nude, as I've already mentioned, which is more of a summer color for me. In the dead of winter, this will not match me whatsoever, but for now it's good. And I did come back to it because I've gotten a little bit more color this summer, and this was the darkest foundation that I had left in my collection. I think about a year ago, I cleared out some of the super dark foundations just because I don't use self-tanner. I think I did for like 1 month, and that was about it several years ago, and I don't get as much sun throughout the summer as I used to because I am wearing so much more sunscreen than I ever did. So this was the darkest foundation in my collection, and that's why I grabbed it, because it was the only one that was matching me for a while. And since I've been using it so much, I've just sort of rediscovered how much I love this foundation. It stays put all day. I never look greasy or cakey or oily. It's just perfect. I will say that this is one of the more expensive drugstore foundations though. I think it retails for about $25.99 Canadian at Shoppers Drug Mart, which if you think about it, that's pricey. That's almost rivaling high-end foundation prices, like some of the cheaper ones at Sephora, for example. But I don't care. I love this so much. I will spend that money. And I know they've had a pump top for a few years now, but when I was first buying this, it was only a pour bottle, and I hated that packaging. It was just so annoying dumping it on my hand, and then I'd spill too much. Ugh, it was a mess. Anyway, I'm happy that it has a pump top now. I mentioned this foundation in a video, I don't know, maybe it was a year ago, and I mentioned the pump top aspect of it, and somebody commented like, it's not that new, and I'm like, I know it's not that new, but it is still exciting. So because it's towards the tail end of summer right now, I've been able to wear some of my deeper products. For example, that is the deepest shade of Revlon Colorstay that I have, and I've also been able to wear some of my deeper bronzers. So I've really been enjoying that because they don't tend to get a lot of use until like September or really August. So what I've been enjoying lately is this one by MAC, and this is old packaging from one of their summer collections. I bought it because it was so pretty, but the product in here is one of their permanent ones, and it is MAC's Refined Golden Bronzer. This is quite warm toned. It can look a little bit orange at times, but I find it so pretty that I just wear it anyway. It is not matte. It is chock full of very, I don't want to say glitter because it might scare people off, but they are intensely shimmery particles of gold dispersed throughout the product. It really is a refined golden product, really. I mean, they chose the perfect name for this bronzer. And they normally have it in like plain black packaging, but I just really loved this collection, so I bought the special stuff. I honestly don't really have a ton to say about this bronzer other than the fact that I just really love it. And it's really the only bronzer I've been reaching for throughout the last month. I think if you go through my description box of my videos in the last month, you'll see this bronzer listed there like constantly, along with the Revlon Color Stay. I've really been enjoying these two. So yeah, if you're looking for a warm toned shimmery bronzer, not too shimmery, I don't want to scare you off from it, I would check out MAC's Refined Golden. It's been around for a very long time, so clearly it's a staple in their permanent range. All right, let me talk about something new for a second. So the Revlon, this is my second Revlon product in this video, I hadn't really realized that. So the Revlon So Fierce Mascara, I have this one in the shade Black. And I had previously already tried this mascara out for a blog review in the last month, but I was initially sent the color Black and Brown, which I reviewed, and the formula was fine. But I'm never gonna wear brown mascara on the regular, so I wore it for I think a week or two to test it out for the blog post, and I was like, in the garbage, because I'm not gonna wear you. And then Revlon sent another PR package, but with the shade Black in it, and I was so excited because I was like, now I can actually wear it as one of my staple mascaras. So this is what I've been wearing for the last month or so, and I've really been enjoying it. Initially, I thought it was a little bit too dry of a formula because I do like my mascara quite wet, like almost sopping wet, which I know isn't for everybody. So initially I was, you know, it's kind of a dryish formula, but not too dry, so I wasn't in love with it, although the end result was quite good. But I've been wearing this one for the last month, and I just really like it. It's just a workhorse mascara. I love the wand. It's a conical wand that is a plastic bristle brush, but it's got a faint taper. It's not necessarily as sharp as I would like it to be on the end, but it's still very good. And it's just a good mascara. Much like the bronzer I just talked about, where I was like, I don't really know what to say about this other than the fact that it's just good. That's how I feel about this. It's volumizing. It is a little bit chunky at times, but honestly, I just comb it out with an eyelash comb and it looks just fine. The longevity is fantastic. It doesn't make my lashes feel crunchy. It's just a good product. So yeah, Revlon So Fierce. I much prefer the black color to the black and brown, but I mean, that's a color preference thing. I have been really enjoying it. Do I think I would necessarily repurchase it? I don't know. I think it's a good product and I would highly recommend it, but there's so much mascara on the market, and I still do really love the CoverGirl Clump Crusher, but for now, I'm gonna use this to the end of its life, and I'm perfectly happy with it. And the very last product I'm gonna talk about is a palette that I pull out every September, which you may already be aware in case you saw that video I posted last week on the products I pull out every September, and it's the ABH Modern Renaissance palette. This, to me, is my perfect neutral palette, which makes a lot of people laugh, but I did clarify in that video that for me, red is my kind of neutral. Like what I'm wearing today, this is neutral to me, and this is my comfort zone for neutral. So funnily enough, I'm not actually wearing this palette on my eyes today, but I could absolutely recreate this look with this palette. So what makes me so happy about this palette is the fact that it is so cohesive and is such a good fall palette. Like even if I'm looking at the leaves in the corner here, like this just fits right in with that color selection, and that's exactly what I want to be wearing when the weather starts to turn a little bit cooler, a little bit crisper. I want to have some spice in my eyeshadow colors, and this is exactly that range for that kind of look. I love that there's so many matte colors in here because that's for me what makes this palette really special. I mean, the shimmers that I use are basically only these two right here, Vermeer and Primavera. I barely touch Antique Bronze. It's not really my kind of color, but I take any of those colors, put it on the lid, and then grab any of the other ones and put it out through the outer corner and crease, and it's a beautiful look every time. I brought this with me to Ottawa when I was there for 5 days throughout September, and I was just really happy to be using this palette again. It felt kind of silly because it's been in my collection the entire time, but it just felt right. It was September, the air was getting a little bit cooler, and I was using my Modern Renaissance palette, so I felt very fall appropriate. I know a lot of people have this palette in their collection, and I would just encourage you to pull it back out because it is a beautiful palette. And although ABH is putting out palettes left, right, and center lately, this one is still my absolute favorite. Okay, so that's gonna be it for my favorites for the month of September. Very end of summer, fall themed, I guess you could say. The products are just making me really happy. I'm just happy to be using my older products, and honestly I'm neglecting a lot of my new stuff and my more recent purchases in order to go back and play with my older products. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you found it interesting, and I will see you next time. Bye!